Welcome to another AMA. My name is John Belizaire, and I am the CEO of Soluna Holdings. I'll be answering shareholders and potential investors' most asked questions about our revenue and finances and other topics over the next few slides. If you'd like to see these answers in written form, please visit solunacomputing.com/blogs. We often include additional links and refer to other documents, so definitely check that out. So stick around to learn more about how to submit your questions at the end of this AMA as well. Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to start with some legal preamble. The following content is completely qualified by the legal disclosures on the slide following this one. Our goal is to share with you some of our strategic thinking and financial analysis we are using to guide the growth of our business. The content is in line with our principles of being accountable and transparent with shareholders. We operate in a hyperdynamic economic environment. That's a fancy way of saying things change quickly. What we are telling you here is based on our estimates and assumptions, which are our best guess, and we reserve the right to revise our point of view based on new information and changes in the business environment. Despite an uncertain dynamic environment, we must plan and make operating and investment decisions, and this presentation lays out some of that for your review. Okay, let's start with our first question. Peter asked, how is the suspected Bitcoin halving later this year likely to affect the profitability of the mining partnerships and revenue sharing ventures? Will they likely want to consume less energy if their potential payout is less? Will this affect 8.8 megawatt hosting contract at Project Sophie? Why is that contract only for a year? And how much does Soluna's revenue change based on the Bitcoin price? And in earnings power, we talked about Bitcoin of 26.5. What does it look like in all of these different scenarios? If you can wait to our 10K, which is going to be released here shortly, probably around April timeframe, we expect to publish a revised earnings power illustration with different scenarios, along with an update on profitability. Hash price does not affect most of our hosting relationships. The profit share relationships at Project Sophie are affected. But we have sought to sign deals with customers who are using more efficient machines. And the shorter term contracts at Project Sophie, that 1 year example you gave, allow us to require those customers to place updated machines with us or to refresh the agreements to ensure that we're maximizing the profitability of the facility. So we try not to sign contracts that are too long so that we can maintain the profitability of the facility at all times. Project Dorothy 1B is 100% proprietary mining, and so its profitability is directly related to hash price. However, with the combination of our machine efficiency and our power price, we expect to weather the effects of the halving. Thanks for the question, Peter. Michael asked, what is the date of the Q4 2023 financials? When are those expected to be reported? I'm calculating that that year revenue might exceed last summer's projections. 2024 is looking to be quite exciting. Well, thank you, Michael, for your question, and I appreciate your optimism. We will be publishing our Q4 2023 financials, and those are scheduled to be released on or before April 1st. That's sort of the regulatory requirement, so we've been very careful not to talk about those results until that time. So stay tuned. Thanks, Michael. This is from Sid. Sid says, how about a comment on SLNHP? That's our preferred share. It's preferred in arrears. That is cumulative. If they default, it's worth 0. If they're ongoing concern, at 25 plus all payments in arrears. One general comment I want to make, the preferred shares are not like debt, so this concept of default doesn't really apply. Yes, the dividend continues to accrue, and the company's board is aware of that preferred dividend obligation, and we know it accumulates, and we expect to pay a current dividend and the accumulated dividends when the company's earnings can support those payments. And that's why the specific security is structured the way it is, where we can pause that until the company can begin to pay those. So while the board of directors has not declared a dividend for 2023, and we haven't yet declared one for 2024 either, It continues to monitor the company's earnings and weigh a variety of growth and operating capital needs when making dividend payment decisions. So we continue to monitor this, and we'll keep the market up to date and let you know what happens in the future. Thank you. Thanks, Sid. Ken asks, why is management not buying shares of Soluna at these levels? Is there a Soluna internal code of conduct or compliance rules that have prohibited insider buying for the last 3 months? Thanks, Ken, for the question. We do get that question often. Obviously, we can't really speak to management purchase of shares and securities, but there are strict windows where management can trade in the company's stock, either buying it or selling it. And these windows become much more restrictive when management has access to material non-public information. So this makes buying and selling for management members quite difficult. In the printed version of our Q&A, I will include a link to our insider trading policy for you, Ken, so you can sort of look at how we follow and the specific policies that we have to follow as a management team. Thank you. Jack asked a question about miner purchases. Market is rewarding miners that are buying S21s and T21 machines from Bitmain. Would you consider a purchase of these, even a token amount, for market recognition? Well, generally speaking, Soluna has focused our strategy on designing and building high-quality facilities where we source the lowest cost and lowest carbon power, and we believe the company is a market leader in this strategy. And we expect that this will drive significant shareholder returns as we continue to grow out and invest in the business. And so the underlying project economics are outstanding. And as we've discussed in a recent conference, I just went to the microcap conference in Atlantic City this quarter. And there's a presentation that I'll link in the printed version of this, and you can have a link below here. Go take a look at that. We show you the project economics by project, and they are not really tied to the purchase of machines. And I think that's what investors need to keep in mind, is that we're an infrastructure company. We focus all of our energy on developing, owning, and operating and sustaining that infrastructure over time, which makes a whole myriad of different machine types that can be put in there to maximize profit. So thank you for the question, Jack, and that's the answer. The next question is from Will. Will asked, how does the noise level of your data centers compare to other data center designs? Well, Will, our data centers are systematically designed. We've specifically given a lot of thought to thermodynamics, power efficiency, and noise levels. We've designed our data centers to be very quiet relative to some of the folks in the industry. This is critical for us as we seek to be good neighbors and partners with the local community. We also take care to locate our data centers away from population centers. The patented orientation of our sites, that's right, we have received a patent for how we design our facilities. That specific configuration is purposeful. And it directs the loudest part of the facility toward the inner corridors, protecting the neighboring properties and the community. This greatly reduces the noise levels. Let me give you an example. At Project Sophie, we have measured 78 decibels, or dB, at the loudest part of our site, and we measure 60 decibels at the security gate, which is sort of like the closest perimeter point, if you will, to the property. Now, 60 decibels is well within the bounds of any local zoning laws, especially when you're talking about noise on the outside. And it's significantly lower than recent reports in the press, which is probably what's driving your question. There's been a few articles that are talking about facilities in Texas and elsewhere that are driven by the design or approach by other parties in the industry. Now, these facilities apparently measure about 100 dB or 100 decibels, and that's 100 feet away from the load site. So this is a 40 dB difference between Soluna sites. So 100, just to give you a sense, 100 decibels means that the noise heard by the neighbors is 16 times louder than a 60 decibel level coming from a Soluna site? So that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it. We've been considering putting out some information about this to the market to understand that we are very conscious and thoughtful about how we design our facilities. Thanks for the question, Will. And our next and last question is from Daniel. Daniel asks, does Soluna anticipate that the Bitcoin halving will increase Soluna's ability to gain more hosting contracts? Great question. Does Soluna anticipate larger, less efficient miners to seek out lower energy cost sources from the plants you have partnerships with? And if so, will increased demand increase the profit margins of those hosting contracts? This is a great question. The upcoming Bitcoin halving does underscore the strategic advantage of Soluna's business model. Historically, halving events have led to increased interest in cost efficiencies among miners and offer a stress test to the variety of business models in the space. Soluna's a unique position co-locating crypto mining operations and other types of data centers with renewable energy plants, and access to low-cost power not only sets us apart, but also aligns us with the evolving dynamics of the Bitcoin mining industry. Thanks to these efforts, we believe we are insulated from the upcoming shock, and as evidenced by recent hosting contracts at Project Sophie, we're signing up opportunities with larger miners seeking to enhance their operations profitability and scale. So this could lead to an increase in hosting contracts for Soluna for sure. And I think, leveraging our operational efficiencies, the design of our facilities, our renewable energy sources to provide a compelling value proposition to miners looking to optimize their costs is something we absolutely will do this year as things shake out. Thanks for your question, Daniel. And that's it for today. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. If you're reading this and haven't had a chance to ask your question, it's not too late. You can fill out the form in the comments below. If you're listening to this, you can do the same thing. We have the link below in the video description box, or drop your questions on X/Twitter. We're at Soluna Holdings to have your questions answered in our next AMA installment. We're going to plan to do these every month, and we'll drop them right or near our monthly metrics and KPIs. If your question wasn't answered here, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and also linked in the notes here. And we're providing business insights and answering questions there as well, and we do that on a regular basis. Until next time, thank you.